What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Nice to see you guys. Yeah, I haven't felt like it's in a couple weeks. Gonna leave you all Saturday. Nice to see you guys. How many of you are triggered? I've noticed. Sometimes I like to just get a rise out of you people. You know that. I'm a sweet teddy bear. I don't know why you guys get so mad at me. You yell barracuda, and everybody's like, huh? What? You yell woke. You got a panic on your hands on the 4th of July, okay? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? We're a battery, guys. That's all we are. Here's what we are right here. Hold on. Yeah. That's what you are right there. You're a fucking battery, okay? That's all you are. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, that's all you are. You're a battery in the matrix, okay? You're a battery that's upset about the word woke. Some of you are upset. I get a kick out of it, if I'm being honest. Just because we've never been here before. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna talk about, but I automatically had aliens isn't woke. How dare you say aliens is woke, you motherfucker? No, aliens isn't woke. All right, I did that just so you would do that. Okay, I don't necessarily mean any of those movies are woke that's on that thumbnail, but you are. See, that's the reason. You proved my point by you getting triggered and getting upset. You proved my point because there's only one word in the English dictionary that has to do with movies that can drive people crazy. No other word in existence can make people this crazy. That's my point. That's my point. That's what we're here for, okay? But some of you literally thought I was serious. You thought I was saying aliens and Jennifer's Body and Nightmare 2 was woke. It doesn't exist. That's the point I'm trying to make. It didn't exist back then. Nobody even knew what to call it back then because it didn't exist. We're a goddamn battery. Okay, that's all we are. We're just a freaking battery. That's it. Battery of what? In the matrix, okay? Jesus. Calm down, everybody. Maybe I'm the only one that's freaking out. I literally just got off work. Like literally just walked in the door because I wanted to stream because I have a window up to like 7:30. See, there goes my phone right now. So yeah. So I just came in and I got till 7:30 and I was like, I gotta, because Sunday's the Super Bowl. Nobody's gonna be watching streaming on Super Bowl day, right? So why do it when the Super Bowl's happening? You know? So I figured I'd do it today. How are you guys doing? I hope I didn't get any of you upset. All right. Let me say hellos. Polly, how you doing? Jason McFarland? Yeah, it is. It's the worst word ever. You can't convince me otherwise, okay? Fluff, how you doing, brother? Chester? Gory Tiger? No, Gory, I did not think aliens is woke, okay? Because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist today in my head, okay? That's why. Apathy, Wesley Cox, how you doing? Brett, Goodwill Hunting, love you, brother. How you doing? Thomas H., Sean Sheridan, channel member. Chad just became a channel member. Thank you, Chad. Jared W. Do we have a date for Maxine? I wish. Still nothing. You know, they're keeping it quiet. Can I even guess? When do you guys think Maxine's going to come out? Like what quarter? Let's see. The Pearl came out late quarter of 2022, and X came out first quarters. So is it safe to say? Is it a safe guess that Maxine could come out in March? You know, I mean, these things have happened before. They've sprung movies on us really quick before. So I think anything's possible. Anything's possible. All right. Gene Wilkham, how you doing? Eli? Yeah. Dave Vanderhoff. What is your method behind your DDLives? Is it according to your wife's schedule when you guys have plans? I'm trying to figure this out. I love it. Yeah, pretty much, Dave. I mean, you nailed it right there. we talk about schedules and whatnot. She's got her own schedule. I got my own schedule. And because our schedules are so out of whack, we don't, like, taking YouTube out of the equation, we don't get as much time together as we would like. So I try to, use these times when she's at work to do my YouTube. That's what I try to do. Right? So, things are different now than they used to be for me. Because used to, back in the day, I would like, oh my God, we got a big update. I got to jump on. Everything's got to stop right now. I got to get on freaking my computer. I got to record. I got to do all this stuff, and I got to get this update out in the next hour and a half. That doesn't happen anymore. All right. I have to pick and choose my battles with YouTube, and sometimes I'm just not going to be able to get that Scream update out on time. And I know timing is important. Like if I wait 2 days, it's not going to matter, right? It's gonna. So, but that's what I've learned is I don't care. It's not that big a deal, I'm still, at the end of the day, I lost, a potential 5,000 views. I don't care. It's not that big a deal to me. At the end of the day, back in the day, those views felt so big and so important, and like it was the end of the world if I didn't get those views. But now I just don't care. I'd rather be happy and do the stuff that I want to do. Like I just recorded. I just watched Strip Nude for Your Killer. It's a Giallo movie that's on Tubi. Sometimes I'll just stroll Tubi. And right after I watched it, I was like, oh my God, I got to review that. Strip Nude for Your Killer. I already recorded the review. That's what gets me excited. Not doing the quick Scream update. It just does nothing for me. Even if I get the views, it does nothing for me. It's weird. I got to be passionate. Right? I got to really just want to do it. And I was just having a ball talking about this crazy movie. I love Giallo movies, especially from like the early 70s. Oh my God. They're fun to watch and they're fun to talk about, because you won't ever get anything like Strip Nude for Your Killer today. It just won't happen. It won't happen. Right? So, you know what? I think Strip Nude for Your Killer might have been sort of a little inspiration for this stream, talking about, woke and, I was thinking to myself, I was like, not necessarily that this movie would be woke, but the point I was trying to make with this stream is that so many people are influenced these days, and they automatically follow their favorite YouTuber or whatever. And if their favorite YouTuber says something's woke, and all they're doing is talking about woke, you have a fan base that as soon as they see any movie that has a strong female or a gay character or a black character, I don't necessarily think it's woke, but they do. They will automatically go to that conclusion. Okay. And I can't tell you if that movie is or isn't, because to me, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So it made me think, wow, will this trigger people if I literally just put the word woke? And it did. It really did. People got mad on freaking Instagram. They got mad on here, wherever I posted it. How dare you? It's funny. So I got some notes. My voice cracked. Holly, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah. Gory, you should always take up for Aliens. That is one of the greatest freaking movies ever made, as far as I'm concerned. Right? Let me rip the Band-Aid off right now and tell you where my mindset is as far as woke. And I've talked about this stuff in the past. I review movies. Set aside that, Rotten Tomatoes, all that bullshit. Forget about that. Let's just talk about, I chose to sit here and talk about movies, back in 2015, because I loved movies with all my heart. And this whole woke thing started coming around a few years ago. And I guess today it kind of dawned on me that, I will never, like, if I'm critiquing a movie, good or bad, I will never, ever say this movie is good or bad because it's woke. It's just not a part of my vocabulary. And you know why that is? Like you might say, just, I'm being you and you're countering me and you're saying, why wouldn't you say a movie's woke if you think it's bad? Because I got 10 other reasons why it's bad. And woke has never been a part of that vocabulary for me. I can easily tell you why a movie's bad. And I can even go further. I'll give you an example, like the Marvels. According to the modern day definition of woke, and you guys might feel I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right, okay? I don't think the Marvels is woke. I hate the movie. I don't want to say hate, but I think it's a really bad movie. And I can give you a lot of reasons why I think it's bad. A poor character development, a plot that is paper thin and weak and stupid, pretty much copying from Spaceballs, wooden performances by pretty much all the actors. And just a lot of the movie just didn't make sense. They had really stupid decisions with the cats turning into freaking, I don't know what they were turning into, aliens or something like that. There's like 5 or 6 reasons right there. Woke was never a part of the reasoning for me thinking the Marvels is pure shit. It's pure shit because it's a bad movie. And I just gave you all the reasons why I think it's bad. You don't need that word as part of your vocabulary. All right. Here's another thing. Since we're talking about this, I was going to save this for later, but I'll talk about the word, and then we'll go into that, because I'm going to go through all these movies just for fun that today some of you idiots would, not you guys, but some idiots would actually say, oh, that's woke, if it came out today. If it came out like if it never existed before. If it came out today, I don't think it's woke, but some people would say, because it never existed before, that's woke. I guarantee you. I missed a super chat. Hold on just a sec. Thank you, Chris. Let me go up here. Okay, yeah. Brett, I'm sorry, man. He says, you are the Manly Great Real Horror Award presenter for tomorrow night's show. Guys, make sure you check out Brett's show tomorrow night. He's going to have his real awards, the Real Horror Award, and I got to present in that thing. I was honored. So thank you, Brett. He's putting together a really nice show, and it's going to be awesome. So make sure you guys check it out for sure. Now, regarding the word woke, let me take a drink. And again, these are just observations. This isn't the law. This isn't me saying that I'm right, okay? Again, I have to say that, but one guy's opinion. I'm a battery, okay? That's all I am. This is and this is my opinion. This is the first time, I think, in history, a movie opinion or an aspect of a movie has become political. I think the word is a political word. I really do. I think it's often tied to both sides. You think I'm going to say it's automatically tied to the right. I think what happened is both sides took the word. One side said, no, it's a great thing. It's good that we're having all this diversity. It's, everything is going to be right with the world, singing Kumbaya. So you got that side of it. And then you got the other side saying, no, it's wrong because of, you're pushing agendas. And you know what? Both sides are absolutely right as far as their opinions on why their movie is either good or bad. I think we do need to have diversity in things, but I don't think we need to push agendas. A lot of you might think, if you've never known my channel before, oh, he's left. You saw, if you caught the joke, which you probably have by now, but automatically we jump to a side, right? We have this knee-jerk reaction to say, oh, he's making fun of people that they lean on woke and nothing else. So he must be left. I'm not left or right. And that's not a cop-out. I've said it before. Not a political person. It's boring to me. I err on the side of common sense. I always just have. Growing up, my whole life, politics have never been a big thing. I think politics are important. I think we need certain things in place as a society. And I have my own personal opinions about those things, okay? But when that bleeds over into movies and entertainment, again, on both sides. You know, when you got one side complaining about agendas and then you got the other side doubling down, you know, because they're pissed off. You see what I'm trying to get at, guys? It's the word. The word causes all this. If that word didn't exist, then you wouldn't have the constant complaining and you wouldn't have the constant doubling down. If one side said the movie's bad because of this, this, and this, and left that word out, and then one side said, no, it's great because of this, that character development was excellent. Did you see that? The way she freaking delivered that line? She really, no, she was horrible in that. So, you know, if you have that kind of civil back and forth that is fruitful and productive, I don't see a bad end result to that. But if the second somebody throws out the word woke, then it becomes an us versus them thing. And we're talking about movies. That's why it baffles me. The whole thing just baffles me. And I'll say this right now. I don't like agendas pushed, okay? It does get annoying to me if you try to ram something down my throat. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, okay? I'm looking at you, Black Christmas 2019. It does exist. But again, I never looked at that movie and said, oh, it's woke. I hate it because it's woke. No, I hated it because they're supposed to be talking about a slasher killer. But instead, they're really, really upset about, a feminist type agenda. And that's the thing. It becomes an agenda. And is it supposed to be part of the story? It could be. It could be part of the story, but something didn't work out and the movie ended up being bad. We didn't want to be preached at, right? Nobody likes to be preached at. I get that, okay? But when that word comes into play and you got two sides arguing, then it gets ugly. And I don't like that. I've never liked that. And I don't use the word when I review movies, unless I'm making fun of it. But I'll never need that word to tell me if a movie's bad or good, right? Does that make sense, guys? I hope I'm making sense. We got some news tonight. Damn, I'm sorry I got all freaking charged up. Jesus. Hey, buddy. Before I go on, I did write out a couple notes. Let me see. Just to be, so that way I can just get it all out of my system, all right? Like, here, you know what? I can show you something real quick. Let me show you something real quick. We'll talk about that in a second. Hold on. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. Remember, I think last week or the last time we streamed, I talked about this video, why Marvel is cringe. Marvel Phase 4 being cringe for 4 minutes. And at face value, when you watch that video, you automatically think, oh, he's amongst the anti-woke crowd. And that's part of the problem that we have because of that word. If the word didn't exist, nobody would have jumped to that conclusion. They would just think, oh, he doesn't like Phase 4. He's criticizing it. That's cool. Let me watch the video. But instead, because of that word, people think, oh, he leans right. He doesn't like. So he had to literally go into the comments because he was getting attacked by both sides, I guess. And he said one of the biggest comments that he was getting was, this is all because of feminists and woke directors. No, the problem isn't with the problem isn't that the MCU has more women POC. It's that they don't know how to write these characters. Well, please do not post your racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. garbage in my videos. And it's sad that he had to write that, but he did because it becomes a political thing. And all he's doing is saying, hey, Marvel Phase 4 sucks ass. It really does. For the most part. And if you like Marvel Phase 4, God bless you. God bless you, okay? At the end of the day, they're freaking people in tights running around and jumping over mountains. And we're grown-ass men. We shouldn't really be getting that upset about it, even if they are bad movies. But, that's just the world we live in today, right? So, but I thought that was funny. It's like, oh, you had me in the first. But no, he's not a political type of person. So, yeah. But watch that video, though. It is funny. It is really funny. And let me look and see if I had another. That way I can get the woke thing out of my system because Sometimes I like to rant to you guys, okay? It's not going to make a difference in the world, okay? Your guys going to go back to your lives. Everything's going to be the same as it is. And you know, it's a terrible tragedy, okay? But yeah, anyway, yeah, let me see what else I had here. I talked about the woke argument doesn't really hold water in terms of film criticism. I talked about that, so we don't need to talk about that. Oh, here's a good one. This might be a little triggering to some, but here's why the word woke is still so big and relevant these days. It is a money maker. It changes people's lives. There are channels that you look at their videos. Every video has something to do with woke. And these people aren't dumb. They are taking it to the bank, and they are making, some of them probably millions a year from this. And that's, they're gravy training it. All they have to do is just do video after video after video after video of woke. They have to live and die by that thing. It becomes a career move. And when you're depending on that to pay your bills and put food on your table, maybe, put your kids in a nice school, when it bleeds down to your family, you damn right they're going to lean on that. And that's why the word won't go away. And you know what? I'm not here to judge them. God bless you. Everybody has to get up every day and figure out a way to make a living, make this thing work, right? It ain't easy. There's no secret formula. I talked about YouTube last time I streamed and how tough it is. And you won't see me chastising those channels. You know what? I'm in it just like they're in it. And we all have different, I guess, values that I'd get no satisfaction. Plus, I don't believe it. Like I said, the word doesn't exist in me. So I'd be lying if I started making constant content about this movie's woke, So it's just massive money, and that's why it's still here, and it'll probably never go away. Unless people just are like, you know what, I'm tired of this argument. I'm not going to watch these videos anymore. Maybe one day that'll happen. And if that happens, then maybe it'll change and maybe it'll go away. But I'm not here to judge them. I ain't even mad. I don't care. All right. I'm just giving you my perspective on the word. All right. That's all I'm doing. And I think the reason it's important for me to tell you guys is because I just want my audience to, to be open-minded, which all of you are. I love that about you guys. And I think it's a horror thing. I think the horror community, we don't fall for that bullshit. We're way too intelligent to just live and die by that word in terms of our movies. I think horror fans love movies more than all movies more than any other type of movie fan. I think horror fans are very intelligent, and they can pick apart the little nuances of filmmaking, of emotion, of every aspect of cinema. And that's why I'm glad I'm a horror fan, right? There's way too much in terms of good and bad movies for me to just depend on a stupid word like that, right? Let me see if there's another one. Get it all out of my system, guys, all right? I am not what you think I am in this debate. I talked about that. I'm not a political person. Right? I'm just not. So if you think he's a left-leaner, no, I'm not. I'm not a left-leaner at all, okay? I don't care. I think of me as like, and I've said this before, think of me like the comedian in The Watchmen. The comedian, and it sounds kind of cynical, but the comedian's like, it's all a big fucking joke. That's what he says. And he doesn't necessarily seem like the most depressed guy in the world, but he just has a particular mindset, and that's kind of my mindset, And let's see. Yeah, that's it. I said it all. It's done. It's over. I don't have to say anything about it, but we will still have fun and go through those movies too. Guys, have any of you been sick lately? Like I got COVID again over last weekend. I pretty much was the end of it. I think I went back to work on Monday, and I was coughing, still a little bit sick. I had like a 3-day spell, and it wasn't fun. But it was nothing like the first time I got COVID. Like the first time I got COVID, oh my God, that was brutal, freaking brutal. And I can kind of timestamp it because I remember I reviewed Top Gun Maverick around that time. So if you watch my Top Gun Maverick review, I literally talk about I think I'm just in the middle of COVID or I just got over COVID, but I look like I'm like exhausted in that review. But I wanted to get a review off for Top Gun Maverick. But man, I'll never forget. I was literally like crawling. Like I'd be in bed. I was just laying in bed, sweating like crazy, and I would crawl from the bed over to the bathroom. And man, that is the weakest I think I've ever been. It was brutal. Oh my God. And I guess they said there's been like a batch going around again or something like that. And so my wife got it, and then I got it. And it wasn't fun, but this was like light. You know, it was like maybe 10% of what it was the first time I had it. Jesus. Holly had it too. Holly, how are you doing? Just getting over COVID for the second time. This time around was worse for me. I did hear some people say that the second time was actually worse. And I was kind of scared that was going to be the case for me. But I think it was like an amplified common cold. That's what it was. Like a common cold on steroids, maybe a little bit. But I just remember, and Holly, you might be able to tell me if it's like this time for you, but I remember last time I had it, it was just so like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of all over the place. Like one day I would be vomiting, and then and then the next day I'd start feeling a little bit better, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get it. And then the next day I got a headache from hell, and it's just brutal. So it's like I had like 3 different types of sicknesses, and they just they would be in like 2-day increments, and so it was like a 6-day period. It was brutal. Ugh. COVID's not fun. So this time wasn't as bad though. I was glad I got through it. It did mess with. You can still hear my voice a little bit, and I did have I still got a little bit of a lingering cough, but I think I thought about streaming last weekend, but it was like this, and then I could say like maybe a couple and then I'd cough again, just constant. So I was like, there's no way I could stream. I was on call, and they had to take me off a call, my boss, because I didn't want to expose any of the residents at my job. So yeah, it was crazy. Sean Sheridan says, long COVID is worse sometimes. I have a relative that had COVID last year, still had a cough. Yeah. Sometimes it just lingers forever. Sometimes the taste doesn't come back. Like the first time I lost my sense of taste, and then this time my taste was fine. I still even had an appetite this time. So Chris says, I had COVID in November of 2019 before we all knew what the hell it was. Yeah, Chris, I had it. I think I had it January of 2020, like 2 months before it was like officially out, because I remember that particular. So this might be the third time I've had it, because I remember that was one of the worst spells of being sick that I had up to that point. I was like, why am I so freaking sick? And this was before COVID had been announced. So I don't know, but I like to. I still think I had COVID back then, before it kicked off too. So, yeah. Adrian James, did you get vaccinated for COVID? Yeah, I did. If you didn't, that's fine too, though. That's one thing I didn't like. People forcing people to not. I still think it's a personal thing. It was, like where I worked, I'd say half of us got vaccinated, half of us didn't. We were still great friends. Didn't bother me at all. That's your body. Take care of your body. Do whatever you want to your body. That's great. The reason I did was because I was in the military, and every time we deployed, we had to get vaccinated. We didn't have a choice. We had to get vaccinated. And I think I got vaccinated really early on when I think nobody was arguing about it. It wasn't that big of a deal at the time to people. So still, a lot of people decided that I don't want to do this until I find out more about it. But me, my mindset, I had been conditioned in the military. I got to get it. Okay, let's just go ahead and do it. That was my mindset, because I did it I had to do it in the military. I've been vaccinated so many freaking times in the military. It ain't even funny. Typhoid freaking vaccine, yellow fever. I think it was yellow fever. They'd put every time you deploy, they'd give you the yellow fever shot, and it would be like this pussy yellow circle, and it was like massive on your freaking arm. But at first you wouldn't notice it, but then as it lasted for like 30 days, and it hurt too, because then your arm over the course of the month would start like getting really sore and just uncomfortable. Oh my God, it's like waking up every day and somebody punching you in the freaking arm. That's what it was like. Chappie, what's up, man? Thank you. He says, question. Why do you think it's taken so long to get a Crow reboot off the ground, despite so many actors and directors attached to it, and then leaving before now it gets made? And why are some people skeptical over it? Well, I mean, people are skeptical because all the Crow sequels, they didn't perform well, and I think most of them are bad. I think there is a cult fan base for the second movie. I like it, but the general opinion of the second movie, still to this day, is that it's bad. So that right there is going to make people skeptical over it. It's a gamble for any studio to put out a Crow movie at this point, because it hasn't been successful since the first movie. So now the first movie, it's done. It's in the can. It's been made. I don't know if they're completely finished with post-production. They might not be, but that movie is done. I almost said it's definitely coming out, but after what we just heard about Warner Brothers the other day, there's no guarantees. Studios are literally throwing movies away. I mean, can you imagine that? You're spending $80 million on a movie, and then you're like, I just want to throw it away. And they just throw it away. It's freaking crazy. It's insane to me. I'm not saying the Crow reboot cost $80 million. I don't know how much it costs, but I think it's safe to say that's coming out. It's interesting that we still haven't seen any kind of footage. Like, I don't even think we've seen any official publicly released photos of the movie. And it's surely no trailer, right? So it's kind of weird and interesting. But I'm not surprised. If this was like Friday the 13th or Halloween, then I'd be like, why aren't we seeing anything yet if this movie's done? But with The Crow, it doesn't surprise me at all. Just because of the track record of the franchise. It's a spotty franchise. Maybe it is a cursed franchise, and maybe the fact that Brandon Lee died kind of puts a stain on any new movie that comes out. And this one, I believe the main character's name is Eric Draven. It's the first time it's a full-on remake. So I don't know. We'll see. I think we might get it this year. We'll see what happens. We still got plenty of time. They could release it in October. So, yeah. Trina says, let's get some brand spanking new movies to watch. I'm reboot tired. Yeah. Now, Trina, I will say this, though. There are a lot of like original properties out there, especially for like horror. If you go on like Shudder, I think Screambox? I think they got some, but Shudder's got tons of new stuff. It's almost like too much to even like try to keep up with. Like I got to admit, I haven't even been able to keep up with everything that's been on Shudder. But guys, what are you into right now? It doesn't even have to be horror. Like, are you in a certain phase right now, movie wise, that you're really loving getting into? Like, let's put it this way. When you sit down and you turn on your TV, what do you look for? Do you look for just whatever's the brand new? I got to see what's new. Or do you have a certain niche that you're really into right now? Some people, they like old freaking 80s TV shows, and you can go on Tubi and find all those. Me, lately, I find myself reaching back to like 70s, like early 70s. And so I've been on Tubi a lot lately. And because there's always something, like that's how I found Strip Nude for Your Killer, and The Baby was on there. And these are all really interesting movies that are just they were lost in time almost. Nobody ever talks about them. But they exist and they're still out there to be. And the production value on some of these movies is just like, wow, this looks like a Warner Brothers movie back then in the set, like the freaking old Clint Eastwood movies and whatnot, high production value. You can tell that there's a great team behind the camera, fantastic cinematographer, and you're like, how did this just kind of get lost in time? And that's kind of like that's how Strip Nude for Your Killer was for me. You know, I was like, wow, this is a really high production value Giallo movie with an interesting killer. You know, like Giallo killers usually look the same, but this one, you actually had a killer that wore a motorcycle getup with a motorcycle helmet. It was a black motorcycle getup with a helmet, and it was just cool and atmospheric, and there was bloody as hell, tons of freaking nudity because it's Giallo movies, and you know, there's no rules with those movies, right? And so I get lost in that. Oh shit, I almost knocked my drink over. I get lost in those movies, if I'm being honest, and I'll go down a rabbit hole. I can't help. And then I forget about what's going on today with movies. You know, I don't care. So, Chappie, he says, that's another thing I wanted to ask you on Warner Brothers. Shaved Wild Coyote, never to be released, similar to the Batgirl. And how do you think this will affect the industry? And does it scare you? Doesn't scare me yet. I think, honestly, it's everything's a gamble these days because of the landscape of cinema. There's no guarantees. Like back in the 90s, you could release, your dramas, your thrillers, and you could get you could make a profit off of those movies, you know, because you could put them in theaters. Whereas these days, there's no guarantees with that, and studios, they're dying left and right. You got freaking Disney buying up 20th Century Fox, and you got this studio buying up this studio, and so it's a heavy gamble, you know. And it's just like what I was saying about all those channels that talk woke stuff. They got families to feed. Same thing here, you know. When you got all these big studios, they got families to feed. Do I want to take a gamble on the next big superhero movie that's $200 million? You know. Or do I want to take this little small property that I don't have enough money to promote? I got to put double the budget in just promotion because the movie's so low budget. So, I mean, they're freaking throwing away Batgirl. That is a little scary when you got a freaking movie that they spent all that time on. You got freaking Brendan Fraser in the movie, and $80 million. I don't know exact budget of that movie, but to me that's crazy. Like. Has that happened like in the 90s and 80s where they just freaking threw away a movie? I'm sure it has happened, but I don't know. But I think it's just because of the landscape that we live in today. It's pretty insane out there, you know? Adrian James, what's your favorite Rocky film and Rip Carl Weathers? I'm glad you asked that. I literally just went, after Carl Weathers died, I went and watched every Rocky and Creed movie. And I've never done this where I watched all of them, the entire thing, Rocky and Creed, in a row. Boy, did I enjoy that. That was so freaking fun. And I'm not going to lie, I cried on a few of the movies, especially concerning Apollo. You know, and Carl Weathers, he stated that Rocky III was his favorite out of the whole thing because he loved Apollo as a character. He thought Apollo was more fleshed out in Rocky III than in the entire franchise, and I agree with him. You know, when I watched Rocky III, I think that's when I felt it the most, just because of him. But then when I got to like Rocky Balboa, wow, man, I forgot how emotional that movie is and how great it is. That's easily one of the best movies of the franchise when he's going around and he's, you know, revisiting all these moments from his past where he met Adrian, and Adrian was so freaking important to him. And Stallone's performance is just beautiful in the movie, and you can't help but tear up, especially the part where he's in the meatpacking plant with Paulie, and when Rocky says, "I didn't know it would be this hard." You know, it's like this beast inside, and he just starts breaking down. Man, you know, you see all kinds of emotional performances, and you see tears roll down the eyes of actors and actresses, and that's great. They do a great job. But there's just something different about certain performances, and that being one of them. When you watch Stallone's performance in that scene in like Rocky III when Mickey dies, man, this is a guy just completely letting loose and giving it his all. I don't think people give Stallone enough credit for how amazing of an actor he is at times. You know, he loved that character so much, that franchise so much. So I get why he got so upset, you know, recently, a couple years ago. That's his baby, you know? I skipped over Rocky V, and I saved that. I started with Rocky II. I don't know why. I was just in the mood to watch Rocky II. Because I watch Rocky probably more than any of them. I watch it constantly, like a couple times a year. So I was like, I'm going to start with Rocky II, because that fight between Rocky and Apollo's a different character in Rocky II than he is in the first one. He is focused. He is serious. If you watch Rocky II, Apollo never smiles one time. He is completely serious that entire movie. He's pretty much back to when he first started. He's hungry again. You know, he wants to prove to the world that it was a fluke that Rocky almost beat him. And he was scary. And I think that was a beautiful acting job by Carl Weathers. But also from a writing standpoint, to write the character in a different way than you did in the first movie, Stallone, man, I think he knocked it out of the park with Apollo, because he could have been redundant and it could have felt like the same movie because he fights the same guy. But it feels like two completely different fighters and setups, you know? Apollo wasn't really taking it that seriously in the first movie. You know, he looked at it like an exhibition, right? I'm going to drop him in 3. And that scene in Rocky II where Duke comes up, you know, he didn't want everybody else to hear, and he comes up to Apollo and he's like, I watched you beat that man like no man's ever been beat before. And he just kept getting up and he just kept coming. Man, that just gives me chills. Every time I watch that scene, it's like, damn, movies can do this? Wow, this is insane. And it was so fun going through that franchise. I did watch Rocky V eventually. I think I might have watched it last. And it's got some nice moments in it, but that's not Rocky in that movie. Stallone's trying something different with the character, I think. And he's even admitted behind the scenes he wasn't into it when he did Rocky V. He did it for a check because they gave him like $15 million. But his heart wasn't in it, you know? And I think it shows. I think when you watch his performance, every other movie in the franchise and the Creed movies, that's Rocky. He is knocking it out of the park. And I think if anything, there's a lesson learned from Rocky V is that character, it seems on paper like it's an easy performance to give, but that just proved right there. You have to follow a certain line with that character. If you take it too far over the line, he's going to turn into a caricature, and it's going to come off as silly. And I think that's what he does in Rocky V. And it drives me crazy. I'm like, that's not Rocky when I'm watching this movie. You know, it's weird. And I know he's trying to portray Rocky with brain damage because of what Drago did to him. But I think the performance was not the right performance. I think he should have just stuck with Rocky because it wasn't that big a deal at the end of the day, right? So, I mean, it's kind of a crazy plot anyway for him to have that much money and lose everything because of a power of attorney. I mean, I know you got to write A to B to get there, but wow, that's a far stretch. You know, I mean, he could have done freaking sports commentary. He could have done commercials. Could have done a million things. And look, I'm not the only one that hates Rocky. I don't hate it, but Stallone himself hates the movie. He gave it a 0. Chris, I'm so glad that you and a few people think Rocky 2 is better than Rocky 1. I'll say this, the fight is one of the best fights in the entire franchise. It is, I think, as far as emotion goes, it is the best fight in the franchise. As far as like pure adrenaline goes, I'd say it's Rocky 4 fight-wise. I literally just watched both those movies recently. And I can tell you right now, for me, my opinion, watching Rocky 1 is like revisiting an old friend. It's I could watch that guy walk down the street, bouncing that ball, talking to, you know, the freaking guy in the bar. I could watch that guy do nothing for 4 hours, keeping that cadence, and it wouldn't bother me at all. You know, there's something magical about the first Rocky for me. And Rocky 2 feels more like a character in a movie. You know what I mean? And there's very few characters in our lives that they step outside of the world of movies in your mind, and it's like revisiting an old friend. Very few movies. The first Rocky is that for me. I could literally throw it in right now, and I won't be bored with it. It's just like hanging out with that guy again. I don't know. And I think maybe it's an accident how he was able to capture that, but it's amazing what he was able to capture in the first Rocky. It's insane. You know, the rhythm, the cadence of the character, it just doesn't feel like acting. It feels like a real person. So, but and I love the fight at the end of the first movie, but nothing compares to the fight in the second movie. I'll give you that for sure. Yeah. Man, see, I'm gonna have to clip this out. I talked about Rocky for too long. But you know what? At least I got to talk about James Kotek. Did I say James? Oh my God! At least I got to talk about Carl Weathers. Why did I say James Kotek? I know exactly. I might as well say it right now. Nobody nobody is gonna know what I'm talking about. None of you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about because this is music related. James Kotek was a drummer that played in Kingdom Come. And he played in the Scorpions. He was like a session drummer. I think only if Dave Vanderhoff's still in there, he probably knows who James Kotek is. He played for Warrant actually for a little bit, and he was one of my biggest drumming influences. And he just passed away, I think last month. And I was like, damn, James Kotek, that freaking hit me, you know. So I wanted to say a little something on here for him. He had a real knack for groove in terms of drumming, you know, and he was like a metal, like a rock drummer. But he would always throw in that's a little bit of jazz there, you know, that's a little bit of something different, but it still fits in, you know, just a very competent player, you know. And one of my first, like, I would say kind of intricate and challenging grooves that I ever learned was from James Kotek. You know, as soon as I learned this groove playing on the kit, then I was like, okay, I kind of leveled up here. Now I can actually do something that a lot of drummers can't do. You know, I leveled up, and it was really cool. And so, as a drummer or as any musician, we always remember those musicians that helped us level up. They did something that we saw as a challenge. And I was like, when James Kotek, he did that groove. It's like is that type of deal, you know. He's hitting the snare on an offbeat and the on beat, right? And so it takes a lot of coordination with your foot and your snare, and then he throws this like monster fill at the end of it. And when I first heard it, I was just like, damn, I wish I could do that. There's no way I'm gonna be able to do that. And then one day I did it, you know, after months and months of just trying to do it, and I did it, and I was like, oh, holy shit, I leveled up. It was really cool, you know. And by being able to do that, I was able to do a lot of other cool drum fills and drum patterns that I hadn't done before. You know, when I went and tried them after learning that particular groove, I was like, oh shit, now I can do this and I can do this, and I'm starting to get better at, you know, at my drumming game, you know. So yeah, so gotta give a big shout out to freaking James Kotek, guys. You know what? Hold on. You know, since we're messing around, we're gonna listen to a little bit of James Kotek, and I'll even let you hear the song that has that groove. Okay? Let me pull it up here real quick. Give me a second. Kingdom Come. We're going to listen to a song, just a little bit of a song from Kingdom Come. Great freaking album, too, by the way. Their first album. Self-titled album, Kingdom Come. They called them Baby Zeppelin. They sounded a lot like Zeppelin, but they were a band from the 80s. All right, so let's see. Yeah, here we go. So here's the album. Now, I'll give you a little bit of, this was probably their biggest hit. trying to get it to the chorus.
There are those lonely times and then there's happiness. Now it's time we're gonna do what we do best. Get it on. Get it on.
Isn't that sexy? All right, so now here's that song I was talking about. It's called The Shuffle. All right, here you go. See, what he did there at that beginning was, it sounded like a regular triplet type beat, but he threw a flam in there. So instead of like da 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 da, he was like da 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 da. I can't do it like I can do it like this. So he threw a flam on there.
Wasting all our precious time. Why don't you get to watch it? Yeah. I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna have it wonderful. I need
Okay, I'm gonna go to the groove in question that I was telling you about. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Okay, this is it right here. Listen. And here's the big fill. Yeah, James Kotak, man. Sucks that he's gone, but yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I've lost all of you. You're like, what is this old man music? I am sorry. Okay. Let's go to the news real quick. Okay. Let me pull up my news here. Hold on. Yeah. Saw X director has Saw 11 has a new director, and it's the director of the last movie, Kevin Greutert. Let me pull this up here. Hold on. Yeah, Saw franchise made a major comeback last year, 2023. Now for 2024, it's clear that Saw is back as an annual tradition. The next highly anticipated film in the series, Saw 11, has been announced, and we now know who will be the director. It's been a difficult time for the series over the last few years. Saw the final chapter, released in 2010, remained the last film in the series until 2017's Jigsaw. This film didn't perform well for fans or critics, and as a result, the series was retooled with Spiral, the Book of Saw, in 2021. Of course, that film didn't perform well, and most fans and critics either, which led to Saw X. This particular film went back to the franchise's roots with a return from Tobin Bell as John Kramer. It told a personal story of his from between the events of Saw and Saw 2. Unfortunately, the film became the most well-received, or fortunately, became the most well-received entry yet, and seemed to have rejuvenated the brand. Familiar face will be returning to direct the sequel. Kevin Greutert, director of Saw 6, Saw the Final Chapter, and last year's Saw X will. So I think that's good. You know, if you have a winning formula for the last movie, then yeah, why fix it if it ain't broken, right? I think it's good I call it like Saw X. It's kind of like the like H2O, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just resetting the franchise. That's pretty much what it did, and yeah, I think it's a good thing, and I'm glad that they kind of cleared out the clutter a little bit and reset everything, and I'm just curious how they're going to write themselves into a corner because there's only so many movies you can shove in between there so you can get John Kramer, right? Eventually, people are going to be like, okay, how many times are you going to do this? Here's Chris. Tell me what you think on this. All right. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think this movie will come out. I think the next movie, if this movie does well, if they don't really have much more of a story to tell in that section of the franchise, I think they might go for a reboot. Retool the whole franchise. That's what I think is going to happen because there's just so many. There's only so many movies, you can shove in between here. So, Destiny, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Good boy, Destiny. You missed me. I was fired up earlier. I was fired up. All right. Go back and watch the replay. You'll see. Holy shit. I was arguing with myself. I do that sometimes. Chris says, I think they have plans for 11 and 12, but after that, then possibly a reboot. I believe that's their plan. Yeah, and I think that's a safe one. I think that's a safe plan for sure. But you know what? Saw 10 did a lot of great things. It made a non-Saw fan sort of a Saw fan. Like, now I'm on board. I'm curious to see where we go now. I liked John Kramer, and I loved Amanda. I've always been a big Amanda fan, and I love that they had her in this movie. And, yeah, so I'm really happy about Saw 11. It is definitely one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Really, really happy about it. Let's move on to the next news story. Next news story. We can close this one out. And this is one that we can cover real quick. I hate these freaking ads. I swear to God. Hold on. Let me close that. Let me close it. And you can't use the pop-up blockers on some of these sites, They don't like that, right? All right, so let me open it up. News. Okay. Melissa Barrera. Do you guys know who that is? I think it's a strong B at the end. Melissa Barrera. Variety just put out an article, and this is old news. I know, like most of you already know about this, but Variety just basically put out a news report that she did another post after they put out some kind of warning or something like that, saying, "Hey, no more posts about this." Let me read it real quick. Melissa Barrera is once again under fire over a series of new social media posts involving the Israeli-Gaza conflict, prompting her representatives at WME and Sugar 23 to explore dropping the actress as a client. I'm not going to read all that because I kind of know the gist of it. I think it's WME and Sugar 23. They basically backtracked, and they're not dropping her at the moment as a client. There was all this talk recently of getting Melissa, like there's a possibility of getting her back just because Spyglass had egg on their face. They were looking pretty bad. The fans wanted it. She didn't really say, and I don't think she said anything bad at all. I love what Melissa Barrera stands for. Let me put that out there immediately. Okay. I'm just talking about from a business standpoint. When you're dealing with these freaking organizations, they have you by the balls, or the lady balls. They have the right to drop you if they want to. If you don't align, not really align with their beliefs. It's not that. It's just there's certain things that they don't want you getting involved in on social media, right? And I think that's what it is. That was what got her in trouble in the first place. But I don't think it was her. And I did a whole thing about this. I don't think it was really her fault. She probably was surprised that they were getting mad that she was trying to fight against genocide. But now that they've, said, hey, this is the line we draw right here. We don't want to get in that sandbox. It's not that we don't agree with what you're saying or disagree with what you're saying. It's the sandbox. Stay out of that sandbox, okay? As far as our company here, we want to keep it nice and civil, and we don't want to ruffle any major feathers because there's a lot of money on the line, and we want to make as much as we can. That's their. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, okay? It's a horrible thing. They're greedy fucks. I know that, but you're under their rules. You know, you have your freedom of speech and you can say whatever you want. You're not going to go to jail, but you might end up, not being on the next Scream movie. So I was thinking before this particular update, maybe with some, with the Nev Campbell muscle, getting all of them in a room. She's still really good friends with the rest of the core four. Every time they see each other, they got to take photos together. I was thinking there was a good chance that maybe she'll come back. She's got this new freaking movie coming out with Radio Silence. But then this happened. And now I think that's the nail in the coffin. Again, I'm not saying that Melissa did anything wrong. She's trying to save money to raise money to save people. God bless her. Okay. But I don't think, she's her agency didn't drop her. She's lucky they didn't drop her because they kind of they play in the same sandbox as the big studios do, right? There's certain things they don't want to get involved in politically. Unfortunately, it's a political type of thing. So after this update, I will be completely shocked if Melissa Barrera is in the next Scream movie. I just don't see it happening now. I think this might be the final straw, And I do hope I'm wrong. I like Melissa Barrera, and I'd love her to be in the next movie. But I think this is a situation where she's not going to budge. She's got a fight that she wants to fight. She's a passionate person about this cause, obviously. So I think she's probably sending a message to the studio. Hey, you're not going to change me. I'm going to keep fighting this fight, right? So... yeah, I think that's just what it is. So, yeah, that's the Melissa Barrera story. And then the last one I wanted to talk about was Evil Dead spinoff. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Evil Dead director reveals hopeful release window and it's perfect. All right, so let's see what they say. And let me close this. Do you guys want to buy a car? Okay, no. Okay. All right. Co-writer, director Sebastian Vanasek hopes to start filming the Evil Dead spinoff in late 2024. Spinoff is expected to have a Halloween 2025 release date, according to Vanacek. Is given 100% creative freedom by franchise creator producer Sam Raimi. We like that, right, guys? Like to have that creative freedom. As the franchise forces ahead in a new direction, co-writer, director Sebastian Vanacek reveals his hopeful release window for the Evil Dead spinoff. Plot details remain unknown for the next installment in the Sam Raimi created franchise, though it has been described as being a spinoff, seemingly taking a page out of 2023's Rise playbook by focusing on a different story in the Deadite-driven universe. Raimi is once again producing the project alongside creative partner Robert Tapert via their Ghost House Pictures label. During a recent interview with Konbini, Vanacek offered some insight of the upcoming Evil Dead spinoff, in addition to teasing his nasty approach to the new installment and confirming being given 100% creative freedom. Let me see if we can find what he says. The next Evil Dead can set a new franchise trend. So I don't think they're going to tell you what the actual idea for the spinoff is, and I don't want to waste your time. I mean, do you guys have any idea? Like, are there any theories in your brain that you're thinking, like, maybe they'll go this way? Because it's hard for me to think in terms of a spinoff, because Evil Dead's such a simple premise, right? So I'm trying to, like, Usually spinoff means they're taking a character from the last movie or one of the other movies, and they're focusing on that character. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be the Deadites. You know what I mean? So if it's a spinoff, would the Deadites be? I don't know. I'm talking to myself. I have questions. Right? What could a freaking spinoff to Evil? Maybe they follow Lily Sullivan from the last movie. Yeah, I'm hoping Jane Levy comes back eventually, because I think she's down for it for sure. Holly says, I'm looking forward to another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I actually enjoyed the last one. Holly, how did I forget to add that on the news? I'm always down for new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's a really fun franchise. The only ones I don't really like are Next Generation, and Part 3 is like my least watched. I just never feel like throwing in Part 3. But all the other movies, man, I have a blast with them. I love the Texas Chainsaw. So yeah, they're gonna do I don't know. Are they gonna, like, I was watching like Christian Hanna, and he was saying something about like there's never been a real Part 3. Like every movie takes off the first movie or it takes off one of the other movies, but they never stay the course plot wise and story wise, character wise. They always kind of mix it up, and you don't know if it's a freaking a direct sequel to the first movie. Like sometimes you don't know what the hell it is, right? Like Next Generation. It's like, what is this movie? It's one of those few franchises that does that, because the characters in Texas, they're just not really that important. We like them. We enjoy rooting for them, but we don't care if they're in the next movie. And it's one of those weird franchises like that. Most franchises, like say Halloween. Oh my God, I want to follow Jamie Lloyd. I want to follow Laurie Strode. I want to follow, Rachel Carruthers. Friday, I want to follow Tommy Jarvis. But they don't really have a character like that in. It's all about Leatherface. That's all we want, right? So it's Friday. I mean, yeah, I guess you got Tommy Jarvis, but outside of Tommy Jarvis, there's really nobody that you want to kind of follow anyway in Friday. So they could kind of do that too. I can't wait for more Friday, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Thank you, Holly. I prefer the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, over the remake. God, man, I really do. I love the beginning. That is such a great one. I think that's the first prequel. No, they actually had Leatherface. That was a prequel too. What's up, Mr. Happy? How are you doing? Thank you. Is that all the news stories? I think that's all the news stories. Yeah. So let me get out of there. Yeah. Do I dare go down my list of classic woke movies? We'll do it for fun, okay? Don't be upset. And if you start feeling triggered, just watch the beginning of the stream, okay? It's tongue in cheek. I'm being silly, all right? I'm being silly. I don't think any of these movies are woke, okay? But we're gonna entertain it anyway, all right? Maybe I'll tell you why. Maybe somebody, if this movie came out today, maybe why somebody might consider it to be woke. And I'm not saying they would be right, all right? I'm just saying they live and die by that word, so they're gonna be offended or triggered because the movie doesn't follow certain guidelines. All right, that's all I'm saying. All right. Yeah, there you go. Started off with a bang. 48 hours. Let's see. Why would somebody think 48 hours? You got. If it came out today, I don't think this, but somebody that gets offended, you got a black lead character, and he's pretty much running the show as far as entertainment wise, and we love watching him kind of run over what's Nick Nolte's character again. And I'm digging here, okay? I'm really, really digging here. And maybe nobody would find 48 Hours woke. I don't know. The reason I put this one on here is because 48 Hours is one of my favorite 80s movies. Like I've probably watched 48 Hours more than most movies, because I remember when it came on HBO back in the day, I videotaped it onto a VHS. You know, back when we would put 3 movies on a VHS, SLP, and I would watch that movie so much over and over because I loved Eddie Murphy to death in it. He could do no wrong for me. Gans, Reggie Hammond, I just loved him to death. You know, there's a new sheriff in town, right? And you know, back then too, I was like, that movie had, I think they used the word fuck in that movie, I think more than like most at the time. Like it was controversial at the time because of how explicit it would get. And man, it was just really fun. But I think Eddie Murphy was just hilarious in the movie. Okay. And this was a reach. If this came out today, I don't know if somebody would call it woke. I don't know. I don't think, maybe they wouldn't. Okay. It's kind of a reach, but great freaking movie though. Jesus, I love it. I think I'm just looking for a reason to talk about these movies. It's just like, remember my like 10 random movies things? Okay. Here's the big one. We'll rip the Band-Aid off right there. And you know, this is a debate. Oh, Holly, thank you very much. 9 to 5 would definitely be considered woke today. As a matter of fact, Holly, I was gonna put Working Girl on here, because Working Girl with Melanie Griffith kind of factors into that, you know, and it's about a woman. It's about feminism and being strong and, you know, being paid a competitive salary in the workplace. If that came out today, oh my God, they would call it woke for days, right? And because of that word, some people would just refuse to actually just enjoy the movie for what it is. 9 to 5 is great. It's a really great movie. Okay. So, but I've heard debates about this one, and at face value, because it's so good and it's so strong of a character, and I often see, I'll just say it, woke channels, they always use this as an example. This is how you do it right. And they're right, but, you know, this movie, just imagine if this movie didn't exist, okay? Just imagine if, and in your whole vocabulary, all you do is look for woke content when you go onto YouTube, right? That's all you want to do. I want to bash woke content, okay? And I think a certain audience's knee-jerk reaction, if Aliens came out today, and, you know, watching Ripley as a character, she's not a military person, and she fully takes charge. The company man, Burke, is a fucking idiot. All right? You hate the guy to death. We're pretty much checking the boxes that a lot of movies today, and I'm saying movies today are nearly as good as Aliens, but I'm just saying as far as like movies that are called woke today, this has some of those boxes that are checked. You might not want to believe it, but it's there. He's a white man who's an asshole, and he's a greedy company man, you know? And there you go. That's a box that's checked. And then you got a strong woman that everybody loves to death. So, again, doesn't exist in my vocabulary, but if this movie came out today, there would be an audience that would call it woke. I'm not saying they'd be right or wrong. Here's my thing too, guys. I don't look at woke as a bad or good thing because it doesn't exist for me. But I think at a certain time, woke was supposed to be considered like progression and a good thing. We're trying to maybe right some wrongs of the past. Let's explore that thematically and story-wise. And on paper, before the hoopla over the word, it kind of came off as a positive thing. Let's grow. I mean, we've always wanted to grow. We started out as cavemen. And now, look at all the technology we have and you know, how far we've come as a society, you know. That's progression, you know, and some, you know, before all this mess, it might be called woke in a good way. Okay. So I'm not saying if a movie's called woke today that came out in the 80s, that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, I think Aliens conquered some new ground that might not have been conquered before. All right. And it just happens to be a great thing, you know? And it's one of the most kick-ass freaking action movies ever made. So, yeah. I guess it's just an example of how to do it right. Is Aliens better than the Marvels? You're goddamn right it is. Woke ain't got nothing to do with it. It's just like comparing The Godfather to Death Wish 4. All right, that's just the way it is. So, but you see, does it sound like I'm walking on eggshells here? Before that word existed, I didn't have eggshells to walk on. I could just literally just have a conversation. But now, because of that word, I got to walk on eggshells. It's really weird. Like, even when I was talking about 48 hours, it's like you got to walk on eggshells. It's so stupid. All right, so here's another one. Buffy, Vampire Slayer, very, very strong woman. She fights a lot of male vampires. She kicks a lot of ass. She's had some great training, for sure. That's another thing, too. People always say, yeah, but she wasn't, she was just strong, like the Ray thing. She was just strong and she didn't have training, which Ray did, I think, have some training. Being woke is the farthest problem for the Star Wars sequels. They're just really bad movies. I think Force Awakens is good and a fun movie. And I went gaga over that movie when it first came out. But, after watching the entire trilogy, I still think Force Awakens is good. It's hard for me to even watch Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker now. And woke ain't got nothing to do with it. I just think they're shitty movies. They're just really bad. Okay? But, yeah. Buffy, just another example that might, if it came out today, because we live in certain people have a certain vocabulary, they might jump to the woke conclusion. All right? Not saying I'm wrong or right. Just saying some people would have a problem with it. All right. Here you go. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Is this fun, guys? Is this fun? Is this kind of like therapeutic and maybe a little educational? Because I do like thinking outside the box and trying to push the norms a little bit. Maybe let's bend it a little bit and try to think a little differently than the masses, on both sides. I constantly have to keep saying that because you automatically think, oh, he's trying to defend one side. I'm not. Okay? One side doubles down, and then the other side gets pissed off. And that's because of that word. All right. So, but you can take a movie like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It dealt with promiscuous young women, abortion. And it didn't make any real judgments about it. It laid it all out there in front of you for you to have a discussion about it, But these are, by today's standards, woke concepts. They really are. By today's standards, if this movie came out, you would have a political discussion about abortion. Whereas back in the 80s, when this movie came out, at least I don't remember, we didn't really have, there wasn't an outcry. There wasn't like a division amongst society. Oh my God, they can't put that in that movie. She can't have an abortion. It was a taboo subject back then, but can you imagine if that came out today? It might be crazy. It might be anarchy, By the way, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not just comedies. I love the exploration of all these characters, taking high school students and making them smart, intelligent, forward-thinking people, while also being hilarious. The script to this movie is one of the best comedy scripts I think I've ever heard. And it's like I was talking about, like Rocky. Watching these characters is just like hanging out with some of the coolest, funnest people. And as a person who was in high school a little after this time, because this is early 80s, God, it's so relatable. All of this is so relatable. I knew people in school that were having an abortion, and there was no judgment there. It just what it was, right? And but like I mean, this is one of the first movies that came to mind when I came up with this idea of talking about woke classics, you know. And what does your mind do when you bring up that word with classics? People that lean on that word so much, they got offended. When I even put this thumbnail out there, they got offended. How dare you? You know, they thought I was saying these movies are woke. No, I'm just trying to get a reaction out of you. I'm trying to bend the norm a little bit. I'm trying to get you to think outside of your own closed-minded brain. That's what I'm trying to do. If you wake up one day and you say, you know what? It doesn't exist. I'm not gonna look at movies this way anymore. I'm just gonna look at movies as it's either good or bad, and there are probably a variety of reasons why this movie's good or bad. And if I get into a debate with someone, then maybe it won't get as confrontational because I choose not to use that word. And I get people, they get so mad at me because I refuse to really use the word when I, say that I like or dislike a movie. It's just not part of my vocabulary. I won't put it in my reviews as far as like telling you why I think a movie's bad because I don't need it, right? And it, just because of how confrontational that word is, I don't want to use it, okay? I don't need it. All right, next one. But this is fun. This is really fun, actually. What do you think about this one, guys? Heathers. And I need to watch Heathers again. I haven't seen it in ages, but it's another one that definitely came to mind, as far as like talking about strong women, feminism, and a lot of these movies that deal with feminism that came out back then in the 80s, they always had douchebag guys in them, and a lot of them were white. It just is. A lot of them were, in some of these movies, when you watch the whole thing, most of the strong characters in the movie might be white women, and or just women in general. And that's just because this movie deals with that subject matter. But it does it right. But if this movie came out today, oh my God, I definitely think this would have the same effect that maybe Barbie would have today. Some people might get a little upset. And if I have to call myself out, I will say this. When Barbie first came out, I did think it was a little bit harsh. It felt like it was just man bashing. Like, man, this movie just hates men. That's what I felt like when I first watched it. Then when I went back and watched it again, maybe my mood had something to do with it too. I was able to kind of see what the movie was trying to do. And I think if Heathers came out today, I might have had the same reaction the first time watching it. I like movies like this, though, that just they cause you to kind of have a debate, an inner struggle monologue with yourself, I like movies like that in general. And when you take a movie like Fast Times at Ridgemont High that deals with like abortion, or take a movie like this that deals with feminism and women that go through their own struggles at a young age, and they're not all good. Some of them are, this movie's about conniving women, and the guys don't even stand a chance. They're so conniving. It definitely forces you to have some kind of, like inner monologue going there. Like, ooh, it's not really black and white as far as the characters are concerned, So, yeah, Heathers is a great example. Great example. All right, let's do another one. And I've already seen a few of you mentioning some in there. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man? I see Jason Born Sleepy and Jason Stroke. Yeah. Okay, here's one. And this one was on the thumbnail. Jennifer's Body. And guys, again, a lot of these movies, maybe they wouldn't be considered woke if they came out today. But this is one of those movies, when you watch it, most of the guys look like complete morons, okay? And, Jennifer, because they're morons, Jennifer gets the upper hand. They literally kill her. And then she comes back as this demon. And, because they were stupid and they kind of awoken this beast. There you go, awoke, right? They're gonna pay for it, right? And back then when this movie came out, it was a really fun story. It was like Pandora's box. What happens when I didn't really care about the gender of the characters that were actually opening Pandora's box. It was just a fun idea to explore, right? One strength that women have is they're attractive, and we become idiots. Men become idiots around attractive women. I think that's a safe bet to make. That's a safe statement to make, and that's kind of like what happens in this movie, And I love Diablo Cody's writing here and how she explores those themes, and I think most of the men don't fare that well in this movie. Like Cal Gallner, the scene between her and him, and she eats him. And he was one of the characters that, he's not like that bad of a guy, but he was just in her crosshairs, right? And she needed to feed. So yeah, but man, what a great freaking movie though, Jennifer's Body. I love that it's gotten a big cult following these days, right? Here you go. Here's another one. This was one that I seen somebody said that's not woke, and I'm not saying it is woke. I'm saying some might call it woke if it came out today, because this is taking an established franchise and trying something different with it. And you have a character. By the way, in the movie, I don't think it actually says that Jesse's gay. It was more subtext, right? But this deal, if we're talking about woke as a good thing, and because everybody automatically just, as soon as you say the word, it's negative. And I'm trying to get people to step away from that. If you look at it as, let's say, take that word away and say progression, right? Forward thinking. Let's take a character that we don't see every day in movies, who may be questioning his own sexuality. If you think of it from a thematic standpoint, watching this movie, you can reach that conclusion when you step back from it and you look at Jesse as a character and what he's going through. Man, this was so refreshing, and for them to have the balls after the first movie to put out a forward-thinking nightmare movie like this that took a lot of risks, man, I don't know if they would do it today. I think they would try to just, they'd go the Saw X route and they'd play it safe, which is kind of what they did because this movie wasn't a hit. Maybe back then it was a little bit too forward-thinking. And so they had to try to go back to formula with Nightmare 3. But this is one of those examples. Even if they called it woke today, it's still a great freaking movie. I love the second Nightmare movie. Just that tug of war between Freddy and Jesse, and Jesse's just tortured. This is Freddy torturing somebody emotionally throughout the movie without even really touching them, Sean says Jesse is bisexual, and it doesn't even matter. But, man, to be able to pull out that kind of subtext in this movie to where when it first came out, I think a lot of people didn't realize what it was. But then years later, people were like, oh, my God, I'm kind of seeing this movie in a different way, under a different light. That's progression. That's forward thinking, if you ask me. And, I love it. I love it to death. But if it came out today, because of that barrier, some people might not give it a chance. They might not give it a chance. And you know what? It sounds like I'm picking on one side, but I'll even say this right now, since we're letting it all out here, like Sound of Freedom. Thank God I'm so open-minded that I will give any movie a chance. This movie was getting so much buzz, and I was just curious about, one, why is this movie pissing people off? And two, the subject of human trafficking and all that. I was kind of curious to watch it. Anytime there's a lot of buzz around a movie and people are coming out of it saying it's great, everybody that saw the movie that at least I saw, they were saying, wow, it's really great. So I was like, okay, I want to go check this out. And I loved it. It was in my top 10 of the year. And then you had one side, because of that word and the double downside, and they got all upset about it. They refused to watch it. There were reviewers that refused to watch and review Sound of Freedom. And every time I watch, like, even to this day, when I go back and I watch, some of their videos, and they're like, they can't give a really good reason why they refuse to watch the movie. They talk about the news and Fox News and man, it's just so freaking liberating to not have that barrier in front of me. To give every movie its own fair shake. It's, when you're dealing with like true stories in Hollywood, almost no movie's gonna be 100% true. My goal at the end of the day with any movie is just to be entertained. That's it. I just want to be entertained. All right, and that's what I did when I watched Sound of Freedom. I watched Lisa Frankenstein last night. I was really entertained. Was I thinking about which political party would like this movie, though? Can you really think about that in your head, guys? Imagine you walk out of a movie and you think to yourself, what political party should I be on so that way I can enjoy this movie? That's the most, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It sounds ludicrous. That's what it is. That's pretty much the world we live in today. It's really weird. It's really strange. Thank God I'm open-minded. All right? Thank God. All right, there we go. I saw somebody mention this one, Night of the Living Dead. There you go. In this 1968, our main character is a black man, and it's pretty much up to him to save the day. And not talking about today, back then, black people were going through a lot back in 1968. Okay, that's a fact. You can try to sugarcoat that all you want, but it must have been tough to be black in 1968 with all the shit that they were dangerous with all the shit that they were going through. And you're making a black man the lead character in your horror movie. That takes balls. And that's why I was talking about how horror, I think we're smarter when it comes to that stuff. Directors, movie watchers, viewers, I think in horror, we don't like boundaries. We look at everything in terms of a character. What type of character would I like for this movie? Can the lead character in this movie in 1968 be black? Yeah, why not try that? That sounds great. And that's another thing that sounds ridiculous to say, but how some people think in terms of like the color of a character's skin. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I don't really care about the color of a character's skin, as long as it's like the character, like if he's demographically supposed to be Middle Eastern, I would prefer him to be Middle Eastern. Okay. But outside of that, outside of real life, do I care? I just want a great performance. At the end of the day, that's all I want. I just want a competent actor giving a good performance. That's it. So, I don't know if it would be considered woke. This day and age, it wouldn't matter, right? We have tons of black leading actors these days. So, but back then in 68, this is where I kind of flip it. Back then in 68, man, and it happened. It took balls to actually do this, to make the lead character in a horror movie a black guy, So good on George Romero, because Dwayne Jones, I think it was, what a phenomenal performance in that movie. And he was the emotional anchor of it all. And to get to the end of the movie, you're rooting for this guy the whole time, and then they kill him anyway. Oh my God, just brutal. So, yeah. Next one, this is a recent one. There you go. This is a perfect example. When this movie first was announced, when the trailer came out, there were channels that were literally making videos calling it woke before the movie even came out. And I think that might have been one of the first times I started seeing the trend and how it was getting out of hand, and people were judging things before giving it a fair shake. And man, this was one of those cases where when the movie came out and it was amazing and it was great, and I was just cheering. It's like, oh, thank God. I love it when that happens. I love it when people jump to conclusions and they automatically think because of a political idea or whatever, this movie can't be good. There's no way this movie can be good because it's a woman going up against the predator. And that drove me freaking nuts. And when this movie came out and she slayed and she failed and she had to learn how to fight the predator. Still to this day, I still have people saying there's no way she could take the predator physically. It's not about that. She takes him mentally. Watch the fucking movie again. She doesn't get in a freaking Apollo Creed Rocky fight with the predator. No, she has to watch his movement. She has to watch his strategy. She has to figure out how to fight him. But some people are so fucking stupid they can't even figure out that it doesn't have to be a physical thing. And it shocks me. It actually baffles me sometimes in this day and age when people can't put two and two together and realize, oh my God, a woman can beat somebody that's bigger than her if she uses her brain, right? If she uses her brain and she used his own weaponry against him. And I was cheering. It was great. And it really, to be fair, he's a 7-foot predator. Arnold Schwarzenegger looked like a little bitch compared to the predator in the first movie. If you want to get right down to it physically, and they established that in Predator, no way in hell he could take on the predator. And he knew it. So what did Arnold have to do in the first movie? Did he fight him like Apollo Creed? No. He had to figure out how to beat the predator using his mind. Okay? But, yeah. All right. Here's the next one. There you go. What do you think about that, guys? Okay? If Return of the King came out today, I literally just went through my annual Lord of the Rings run. We watch all of the extended editions, and it's a blast. It's probably one of my favorite trilogies for sure. I've watched them a million times. But when Éowyn, she literally says the line, "I am no man," and then this little woman, kills I'm trying to remember the name of the freaking was it the Wrath King or something like that? I can't remember. But yeah, she kills him. And he like takes down any man. Now I guarantee you that notion, that idea, if that came out today, then there would be some people that would say, "No, that's woke." That's what they wouldn't like that. And I'll be up front. Rings of Power fucking sucks. Rings of Power is horrible. It's just a really badly written show. That's what it comes down to. It's just horrible writing, horrible characters. The fight scenes are ridiculous. I don't have a problem with the gender thing though, and the casting of a black man or a white man. I don't have a problem with that. There's so many other things that are just horrible about that show. Okay, so yeah. Let me see what else we got. Here's another one, and this is one example. This is how you do it right. Yeah, but it's how you do it right. But if it came out today, would somebody call it woke? Yeah, somebody would call it woke. Again, they'd be wrong, but they would call it woke because they live in a box and they don't think outside that box. Okay, and here's what they would do actually. If Terminator 2 came out today, they'd do this. Okay, it's not woke. They would look around and they would look at all those other people or channels or whatever that they would wait to see what they say first. And if they say it's woke, then they'd go woke. They'd think it was woke, all right? That's the problem today. People don't think for themselves. They wait for the beacon. They wait for their favorite YouTuber or their favorite, journalist or, that's how they make their decisions. They don't think for themselves. Right? And so they end up sometimes just missing out on a great freaking movie. Some people, they won't even give it a chance because their favorite YouTuber just said it's woke. So it must be. It must be, right? So there you go. God, it's nice to be open-minded. It really is. All right. So I think that's the last one I'm going to show on here. I mean, I had a couple more. Like you're next. I'm repeating myself, okay? It would be the same thing. One woman beating multiple guys back in 2011. Nobody was saying, "Oh my God, that's a problem." This is because woke didn't even exist back then. At least not the way it does now. But I guarantee you, if You're Next came out today. Although I think a lot of those channels or people that just live and die by that word, maybe they leave horror alone. I don't know. No, actually they don't, because they were all over Evil Dead Rise, you know, because it had a transgender character, which, by the way, I didn't know until somebody mentioned it. So a lot of these people, they found out that there was a transgender character and they were like, oh shit, that's woke. I don't like this, you know? What a horrible way to live your life, okay? Meanwhile, Evil Dead Rise is a great freaking movie. Arguably, I think it's great. So, yeah. So, anyway, guys, man, that was a fun discussion. Little heated, but sometimes I like to get heated on my live streams. Right, guys? But, man, you guys make this fun. And I knew I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it here because you guys love, you're horror fans. And you don't fall for that stupid bullshit. What's up, Jason? How you doing, brother? Yeah, he says, woke is a meaningless argument. But woke has been replaced by psyop now, haha. Everything is fucking psy. Now, see, that must be the new thing that I've never even heard of. So, yeah. But, you know, if I can actually make people try to, you know, think outside the box, don't go to your freaking favorite YouTuber every time you watch a movie before you watch the movie, you know? Give every movie its fair due, its fair shake. And I guarantee you, if you remove that word from your vocabulary, you'll find out if you like or dislike the movie, and you'll have those reasons. And that word, it won't even be a part of it, okay? I'm not saying agendas don't get forced down your throat. Yeah, they do. But that's just what it is. You know, it doesn't have to be everything's woke, you know? Just I don't like the word, all right? So there you go. Now you know why I don't like the word, all right? And I did my test, and some people failed this test when I put out that thumbnail, and I love it. Made me happy, all right? So anyway, guys, I'm going to head out. My wife's about to be home in a minute. Going to have dinner. So thank you guys. I love you guys. I had so much fun hanging out with you.